what can you do at the table to really bring negotiation and persuasion away from the dice and back into our hands as role players? So either we get those easy DC rolls, or maybe no roll at all.
The bard's not here. Can I still negotiate?
Yes.
How do I do that?
How do I do that?
Like, I've got an 8 charisma, but I've got 18 intelligence. There's got to be something I can do.
There are 4 words of power within negotiation.
Power death. Power.
That's power word kill. But yes. Wow.
I just imagine the lich on the side, like, don't listen to the fighter.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that guy. Okay, just fight until you die.
He keeps casting power word stab.
That's not a power word, dragon.
Really does. Get in there, you flesh and blood wuss.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you, Dungeon Master. Thank you, Chauncey. Thank you for this teleport.
What, you got in a fight with a wife or something?
No. I was at the bank. I was getting involved.
Wife? Oh.
No.
Like wife?
No, if they were stealing wives at the bank, I'd go twice. Yeah.
Yeah?
No, but I got teleported out. I don't know if they were starting to negotiate, but things were getting high pressure and things were going downhill fast, so.
Well, there you go.
I just hope that they're done by the time we get back.
Well, if the robbers don't get you, being destroyed might. So,
well, let's hope that we don't get destroyed.
Today's note, speaking of, says, attention, read out loud exactly what is written on this note, or be destroyed and replaced.
It's not like this is take 2 or anything.
Right? Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips, a show where we talk about D&D or else. Hello, deal makers. There's a particular part of TTRPGs that many people would do without. Some run it right, some play it backwards, and most just do their best. Yet make no mistake, this is one of the most used stats in the game, and few know of its power.
Ooh.
No. Let's create a little win-win scenario for you out there. Because if we put our heads together, we'll find out that this isn't an ugly duckling at all.
Oh.
It's a black swan!
Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Caffeine and Cantrips.
So wonderful.
You just read it. It's a win for us. It's a win for you. Today we got a little inspiration from a fan. Well, we're a fan of him. Hopefully he's a fan of us.
Call us.
Give us that phone voice. We were inspired by an individual named Chris Voss. If you've ever heard of Chris Voss, he's a phenomenal being. Worth it for your Google of the day, other than Caffeine and Cantrips every Monday. But
except last week.
Last week.
Oh, last week.
Yeah, like 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
But we were vacation, time stop. Anyway, regardless, we were inspired by one of his books called Never Split the Difference.
Never
split the party. I mean, difference. And in this case, it was a really interesting kind of window into negotiation, persuasion, and how to really use your words to create a lot of effect and a lot of, not necessarily manipulation, but poising you in the right place to take advantage of what's going on.
Yep.
And like it said in our little preamble there, charisma is a massively used stat in the game. There are more classes that use charisma as a primary attribute than anything else.
Yeah, just to hurt people usually. Funny enough,
I'm going to hurt you with my smile.
Well, ask any high school student.
Steal. Yeah. Yes.
Charisma hurts.
Yeah, cat eyes so sharp they cut. Oof. So we thought that it would be great to get into the whole idea of what can you do at the table to really bring negotiation and persuasion away from the dice and back into our hands
Right.
as role players to really make that effect happen. So either we get those easy DC rolls, or maybe no roll at all. We can just work through the problem through good role play and through that engaging aspect. So we're going to dive into persuasion and negotiation today, which I think is going to be pretty cool. It is really quite interesting that most of our ideas and most of our stuff is going to be based on player to NPC negotiations.
Yes.
Right? Not necessarily player to player, but a lot of the stuff does work well for that particular aspect. Right? And before I kind of let, really this kind of go on, there is a little bit in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything that talks about parlaying with the opposite side, parlaying with monsters specifically.
Oh, barely, yeah.
And it's like 2 pages or whatever, but it's a great idea and a great spot to kind of start the juices flowing, right?
I wish they wrote more on that.
It is probably one of the best things. Move aside, Twilight Clerics. Push past the peace domain. It's probably one of the most interesting things that they could have expanded upon in page and word count, and that book would have gained even more flavor and value. But with that being said, I think we should get into this a little bit.
All right, don't get out of it.
Don't get out of it. It's time to negotiate. And really, like I just said, I think it's more than just words.
Negotiation.
Negotiation, yeah. It's way more than just words.
It's also your fist. Negotiate with this, bandits.
More on that later.
Oh, okay.
I think when we start talking about these ideas and whatnot, this is one of those interconnected topics that we've kind of talked a lot around previously, but now we're kind of going for the bullseye in the middle of the.
Oh, it's news to me.
Cool. Well, is it?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I just
classic Sean.
I just get summoned in and I am forced to talk.
Chat time. So I think if you haven't gone for some of these topics, particularly what I'm about to talk about right now, it'd be good to revisit some of our previous videos. One is role playing with advantage. This one talking about forced progression as well as grounding your character and creating meaning with what you're doing. Also, the idea of maximizing fun was another video that we did. And in there, talking about giving intent, giving yourself permission, and just playing the game. Stop worrying about the rules necessarily.
It sounds like some really good stuff.
It does. Maybe we should have a playlist dedicated to these sorts of things.
We do. It's called the Caffeine Cantrips podcast playlist.
Oh my God. Where you can get all your favorites layered in one playlist. But maybe separate them out into ideas. Let us know if you would like that. Or maybe you have your own playlist set up.
Oh, they don't. We can see. I can see the analytics.
And then ultimately, the unboxing series that we did and the ideas throughout all 3 of those. Okay. Because what we're talking about here is we're talking about creating a knowledge and a leverage base within our characters that we can bring to the negotiation so we know what it is that we're trying to do or what we're trying to achieve. And one of the biggest things that I think that we need to really get away from when we start negotiating, DMs, one specifically kind of pointed at you, is one roll makes or breaks it. Right? Where you're just like, okay, what do you want to ask for? I want to ask for this. Okay, great. Give me a roll. Nope, you didn't pass the DC. Sorry.
Right.
Oh, somebody else wants to try? Okay. Oh, and you want to give them an advantage? Okay, great. Nope, sorry. Okay, that's it. We're done.
Right.
I don't think that that's necessarily.
Or like, oh, you passed it, but what did that guy say? What did he do different? Like, why would they all of a sudden say yes? Right?
Yes. And I mean, even the idea of, you rolled an 11. So you left something on the table. Even if the DM gives you something, you're like, I could have got 9 more somethings out of this. Right. So taking away the onus of having a single win-lose or kind of win-lose draw, however it is that you're doing it, but all the info, less info, right, is going to be important when we start talking about negotiation and persuasion. Because whether or not this is in a fight or a conflict, this is kind of the conflict edge of role play, right? Where we're bringing ideas, we want to start talking about something.
Okay.
We have a want and desire. The other party, in this case an NPC, has either resources or means that we're after, and there's an exchange that's going to happen, right? We're going to ask for something, they're going to ask for something. We're going to figure that all out.
Okay. I like to call it assertive teamwork.
Wow. Okay.
Well, it's not conflict.
It's not working together. It's assertive teamwork. Welcome to the assertive teamwork workshop. It's wow. It's very professional sounding.
Right.
It's nice. It's nice. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but
you get it.
ATW. Oh, baby.
100%.
Anyway, it's interesting, I think, though, that we need to break away from these ideas. So when we're going in, we are, like I said, forcing progression in a certain way with our characters. We're asking for certain things.
Right. Okay.
Right. That we as the player are designated. They're not necessarily organically happening.
Forcing is a strong word, but
forcing is
pushing.
A strong,
we're pushing. We're trying to.
You are pushing. You are creating an intent on a specified goal.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully it's you and the team. That teamwork part of assertive teamwork. But, you know, if not, then you're kind of pushing it out by yourself. Okay. At least you're doing it with intent.
Right.
At least you're trying to push forward and do that. And through doing that, you're giving yourself permission to get into a potentially uncomfortable space. Because if you're a person who doesn't like to necessarily RP out your charisma stuff, right? You'd rather just let the dice do the work. In this case, not necessarily asserting yourself, but engaging your character with the storyline here can not only assist you in kind of developing those skills and growing kind of what it is that you're looking to grow and foster those relationships, but it could also make that DC go down because you've got a clearer intent and or you make a good argument.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get good at it in D&D. You'll thank yourself next time you negotiate your pay raise there.
Yeah, because you're going to get it. We believe in you.
Assertive teamwork with your manager.
Once again, shout out to Chris Voss. Read that book.
Yeah, it's actually really good.
It's a super powerful book in all aspects of life. And one of the major things that it gets you to do is be comfortable in conflict. Right. So don't allow your persuasion and negotiation to be just one thing. If you're negotiating with your boss, it's not just give me a raise. No. Okay.
Oh, I guess I don't get that raise.
I'll be back tomorrow. No, let the persuasion and negotiation, I think, go through more of a flow. Accept that there's going to be some back and forth. Accept that there's going to be more dice rolls. And by extension, allow more decisions and kind of engagement to happen.
Or if you do it right, no dice rolls at all.
Or if you do it right, no dice rolls. Right. And we've seen that in like my favorite, Exaggerated Calamity, right? Mr. Seeley himself does the Nat 20 kind of discussion across the PA system, right? And you're just like, oh, okay, that's beautiful. That's amazing. That player earned that.
Yes.
Right? And when we're talking about doing these things, when we're talking about bringing kind of what we need to bring our leverage, our power, our basis of kind of knowledge and intent to the negotiations, to these persuasions, I think the buddy system works great.
What's the buddy system, Byron?
Well, the buddy system is when you take a buddy to the negotiation. Not only are you sharing potential story hooks and things to talk about and things to engage with other players and other characters,
right?
But you're also potentially bringing more things to the table and more tools to work with.
Okay.
When we start talking about potentially all stats being used for skill checks. And I'm going to let you think about that for a little bit.
Constitution persuasion.
Constitution persuasion. What's your goal? I'm simply going to say the same things over and over again and talk in circles until they break. I would like to do a Constitution persuasion.
Yeah, can you tell me where your secret base is, Bandit? Why?
If it works for 4-year-olds, right? Or just, I'm going to yell at him I'm going to yell at him. I'm going to constitution intimidate him. I'm going to yell at him until he breaks.
I'm going to yell the DM until the DM breaks.
Right? No, I'm not going to. My character is going to. I'm just going to describe what it is, right?
I would never bully the
my
DM.
My character always yells inside my DM's head. But anyway, it could be a way of doing things, right? Yeah. I'm going to use strength. Well, how could you use strength? Well, strength intimidation sure works. Charisma intimidation shouldn't be the only way. But also, I think you can go the other way. What happens if I want to do a charisma insight? My charisma is based on being able to read people and kind of understand how to deal with them to make them do what I want them to do because I am so charismatic and good at dealing with people. Perhaps I can use my fame and my dealings with people to figure out where they're sitting or how to persuade them a little better, right? There's argument for it.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even dexterity, perhaps. Dexterity insights. I want to see if they're a little bit twitchy.
10% off? 10% off these dice?
It's actually really nice. It's hot in here.
It's hot in here.
But these types of creative skill use can come into play where, yes, I brought the ranger with me, but the ranger is going to flex, right? Or the ranger is going to use his kind of survival knowledge to show, yes, it's worth investing in us because there is good pelts in the mountains for us to go.
Yeah.
Right. So bringing more skills and trying to use all of your stats in creative ways, I think is something that players and DMs should be open to.
Right.
Right. And that's, I think, a really good, interesting spot for me to stop for now because you've added some stuff that I'm going to talk about after.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
No, I like it. But what I like more is when people like and subscribe to the channel.
This means you.
You right there. Please, just reach down.
It's a win-win scenario. You get more of us. We get more
of you.
Hey.
But now that you've done that.
Also subscribe. Hit the notifications. Ring that bell. And jump in the comments. Let us know what you think the most interesting and unused stat to persuasion combination could be.
Right. And while you're doing that, use the buddy system. And two of you guys do that.
Oh, get your friends to comment too.
But no, the buddy system's interesting because depending on who you bring, it can change the context of those negotiations. Right. And I think what would help a lot in sort of deciding who to bring or what sort of to bring to bear with your buddies and what skills and whatnot is to know what you're getting into. Right. So before, if you know you're going to go into a negotiation, like say, I don't know, you need to negotiate something, you want something from this cantankerous wizard.
Okay.
Right. And he is notorious for not helping adventurers. Right. And you know you're going to have to negotiate some kind of deal with him. To get what you want, okay. Before you go into that negotiation, before you even approach him, what you can do is basically research and gather information on that wizard. Right. So by doing that, you figure out sort of, if you can, of course, depending on your DM, research the wizard's background. Do they need anything? Do they want anything? And do they have any particular dislikes for anything or objections, things that they just will never agree to? Right. Know those things. Knowing those things will really give you the tools that you need to get into that negotiation, right? Instead of just like sort of reaching him like, what about this? What if I give you more gold? What if I, right? So that takes our RP, right? Just ask around about the wizard because he's the wizard.
Go to the rumor mill, right?
Well, exactly. Go to the tavern.
Yes.
Visit the library. Talk to the other wizards.
Yes.
Right? Go to his rival, right, in town and be like, hey, what about that blue wizard? What do you think, red wizard? Right? I heard he's the best. And you get lots of information, right? There are ways to find out this information. So get that, right? Empower yourself, right? Before you go into these negotiations. If you want to be assertive, you need some clout, right?
Yeah.
And by doing that, you also know what buddies to take with you, right? Like maybe he really likes rangers. No one likes rangers, but maybe he likes rangers.
He likes nature himbos.
Right? And then They're like, okay, I'll take him. And there's our charisma checks.
Yes. While he stares into the dreamy Outlander's eyes.
Right.
You pickpocket the hell out of him.
And then you have all this information, go and plan yourself a scenario. Like have a game plan. Right? As you go, before you knock on that wizard's door. Be like, oh, I want to use the himbo, right? to lower his guard, right? I want to talk about.
I want to have some assertive teamwork with my himbo. Right?
Right.
Yes.
Yep. Right. Like prepare for different kinds of scenarios and outcomes, right? And if something goes hopefully a little bit sideways on you, hopefully you've thought about that scenario already. And so you already know how to swivel your negotiations to deal with that.
Yes. And or get it back on track.
Correct.
Yes.
Right. So get prepared.
Pocket's head.
Right. You talked about it briefly, but anticipate the pushback.
Oh.
Don't think that you know he's not going to.
Yes.
Just be like, oh, adventurers, I hate them. But you got a himbo with you. Maybe. Right? Here. Right? Anticipate that.
Animals?
Foresee those potential challenges in negotiation and objections that they might have. And then by looking ahead and planning for those in your scenarios, right, then you can deal with it confidently.
Super. I got a great idea about that, but I want to let you finish. Yeah.
So again, I guess if you figure out like what he wants, what he cares about, you have things to negotiate for ahead of time. Like, oh, I can fulfill this need. I can sort of prey on this insecurity, right? Give him what he wants. Because if you don't know what they want, how are you going to negotiate with anything? Yeah. Like I said, just gold?
So now, in negotiation terms, what it is that you're talking about is leverage.
Yes.
Right? How to use a little force to apply a lot of change. Right? And if you know their likes, dislikes, you Stardew Valley fans out there, then you're going to know which crops to drop.
Skim flowers. Yeah. Once a day.
That's pretty awesome. Don't you like getting flowers?
Depends on the flower. But
picky.
In general, yeah. Who doesn't like getting some flowers?
Yeah.
Right?
Players, get your DM some flowers.
Player.
Yeah.
DM flowers. But yeah, that's sort of where I'm gonna, I think, leave it. Because we don't have that much time, so I don't want to like dive into the infinite well.
No, this is a pretty
prep, but you should prep.
Yeah.
I mean, even in real life, you should prep for negotiations, but definitely don't think that just because they're NPCs, just because it's right, that prep isn't going to make it more successful.
Well, and like we talked in unboxing, like I was saying before, right? The third installment of that, where we're talking about the master or expert archetype, right? Get in there, get into the tavern and get to know the locals, because the locals know the other locals.
Yeah.
Right? If this wizard has a reputation, which they probably do, because they're a wizard, everybody knows about them already.
Right.
Like you said, oh, we know he's a cranky wizard.
Yeah.
Well, why is he cranky? Who makes him cranky? What does he hate?
Why does he hate adventurers?
Yeah.
Right?
Because he probably just didn't move his town or his tower into town. Right? He's been there. He had it built, yada, yada, yada. Right? There has to be some story there. Engage in the world.
Yeah.
And that will give you the information to allow you to go in and not have to roll dice and just be like, hey, we also saw some mice running around. And we know that you don't like vermin. So we're happy to clean those out for you.
Right?
Yeah. Can we come in and get access to your library so we can check out the mice?
Right. And that works. And the prep really is good for any sort of social encounter that you're going to have. I mean, just like we're used to prepping for like battles. We're not really that used to prepping for social encounters.
Correct.
Right? Like, oh, I'm meeting the count. Right? Like you should figure out
blah, blah, blah.
blah, blah, blah.
All you need is blood.
Right? But figure out what they like, what they want. Like
blah.
Right? Like, is he a stickler for protocol? If he is, figure out what that is.
Right.
Or anything. Or
have your history checks. What is I guess it would be history, performance, perhaps. Right. Etiquette. Yeah.
Right. Any sort of NPC that's notable or not notable. Right. And if the DM doesn't have anything prepared, Well, now they will because you're kind of inducing that.
Yes. And you're telling them what you want more of.
Mhm.
Hey, I'm going to go around and I want to ask the townspeople about this. I want to gather some rumors.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey, we need to take a 5-minute break.
Right. But it's interesting because then it primes the DM,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
For negotiation too, which
Yeah.
is what you want. Because I feel like a DM who is caught unawares and unprepared, their natural reaction might be just to shut it down, be like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But if they're ready for it, they're like, okay, I can engage in this sort of interaction, right? And by doing that, there's plenty of time.
Right. And we talked about sharing goals.
Mhm.
Right. And just like, oh, I can't wait till we get to town so I can start learning more about the wizard next session, eh? I'm going to learn more about the wizard next session, huh?
This is the kind of things I'm looking for. Right?
Yes. And they go, oh, I have a whole week to plan this out?
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully you've planned everything out and now you're ready to go into that negotiation with them, right? You're armed and ready. Now, how do you crank up the pressure?
Oh.
Under pressure. And one of many things that you can do, all right? But the one that I'm going to talk about in this specific point is the fear of loss and missing out on things. Yes.
Okay.
It is, unfortunately, something that people respond to. So the negativity of things, right?
Yeah.
More than the desire to keep what you have and
Right.
get what you don't have.
Right.
Right? We respond more to the loss of what we have and missing out on things.
Okay.
It's just I don't know, maybe survival. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know why that is.
Oh, not the survival skill. You're just talking about like just our general biological needs.
Yeah.
Okay.
In survival, like evolutionary.
Right.
So when you go in and you need to crank up the heat on this ice wizard because he's blue. He's a blue wizard, so he's obviously the ice
clearly
wizard.
ice.
Right.
Not illusion. Ice.
Unless he's an
they're all
illusionist
indication.
pretending to be. Anyways. So what you want to do is you want to highlight twist. You want to highlight potential losses.
Right.
Right in a negotiation. So by demonstrating the potential negative consequences of not reaching an agreement, right? It can motivate people. Right? Like if we can't come to some sort of agreement, then this negative consequences might happen. And that could be anywhere from you're going to miss out on it's going to be more inconvenient for you, all the way up to I'm going to hurt you.
This is
right. Not the wizard, like prisoners and stuff like that. That you're like prisoners, like the bandits, right? Like you're going to tell me where you have the kidnapped kids.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
And the negative consequences are you're going to get hurt if you don't.
Right.
Right. Or you'll starve or whatever.
Yes.
We do bad things to bandits and we don't even give a shit. I don't know why.
No, it's interesting that you bring this up because I'm going to be British now. I think
is that what would
yes, for this point I think this is what we're doing. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I think that perhaps there's an idea that most players don't consider is walking away entirely
from the table.
No, from the scene. Back to me. It's the idea of like, yes, we've got your chest of spell components, Mr. Wizard of Blue. And we want an extra 10 gold because some other people wanted to steal these and then just mark up the price on you anyway.
Right.
So let's split the difference. Never split the difference. Let's split the difference because they were going to upcharge you 20 gold. We're going to add an extra 10 gold to the delivery fee because of the extra hardship that we suffered. They go, no, we agreed on 50. They're like, oh, okay, well, we're just not going to deliver this then.
I'm just going to sell it to those other guys.
And then we're just going to go sell it.
Yeah.
But we know, like you said, we know you need these.
You can go buy from those guys.
There's obviously something important in here that you need because you ordered it. and it's here right now. We could just walk away from this. Now, there might be
adventurers are such bad people.
there could be some consequences to this, deservedly so. But
Frashok.
keep in and then I think that this isn't something that we normally consider. Saying outright no to NPCs and being like, I'm going to talk to you tomorrow, and you're going to change your attitude.
Right.
And just be
let you stew on that for a little bit.
And that's brutal. As like from the DM chair, you're like, oh, I needed this hook to go through, and you guys just were like, nope.
You're negotiating with the DM now.
Now he's like, please, I'll provide the chips. No, but that's an interesting idea to just say like, no, what is happening isn't satisfactory.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to miss out on whatever it is that you wanted.
Right.
That kidnapped girl, I guess she's still kidnapped. There's just meaner bandits that have her now.
Right.
Us. Right. And you're just like, all the lawful good characters are just like, whoa. But
you didn't kidnap her. You just didn't bring her back.
We just didn't fully return her. She's somewhere and she's safe.
That's lawful evil.
That is, it's a lot of things potentially.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting idea that falls into what you're talking about. And maybe it's the extreme example of it.
Yes.
But it very rarely, if I'm going to say never, has entered my brain pan when negotiating with the NPC. Is just be like, you know what? Nah. Like we walk away from the general goods seller who's like, this sword's 20 gold. You're like, no, I only have 10. 10? And they're like, no, 20. You're like, okay, peace out.
You're like, look over there for a second. What?
But a quest giver?
Right.
Being like, oh, we really need you to do this. No, I don't feel
That's
like it.
so mean to the DM.
But potentially.
Yeah.
Potentially. But it could be very on brand for a type of character out there or certain types of parties. But I wonder if you've done it, if you've actually kind of walked away and made something else have to happen.
Yep.
Not because you're going like against the DM to just go against the DM and be adversarial, but you're like, no, you know what? This is not a good deal for us. We need to change the way that this is working. We need to change the power dynamic or the way that this relationship is going. And we're willing to suffer the negative possible consequences by doing this. But no, we're out. We'll be at the tavern drinking.
Right.
Right.
We're not in a rush.
We're not in a rush. We're not in a hurry, but you are.
Yes.
Right.
You have experiments to run.
Ooh, it's mean. Right. Okay, cool. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's good.
It was a really cool idea that you just presented to me to have. It was my idea.
All right.
I thought of it.
Oh, is that what it Steal my ideas. The next one I want to talk about is something called opportunity cost. Cool. For those of you who have studied economics, you probably know what this is. But opportunity cost refers to the potential value or benefits that are forfeited when a certain choice is made, right? Because you chose choice A. That means you cannot choose choice B, and you miss out on all the B stuff.
Okay.
Right. Or if you choose B, then you'll miss out on all the A stuff.
Yes.
Right. So like there that is a cost, the cost of that opportunity that you can't have anymore, right? So A cost 5 gold, right? But you also can't do B that could give you 10 gold, right? So the total cost of A, is the cost of A plus what you missed out on, in B. Right? That's the true cost. When you add opportunity cost on top of that, so you can use that sort of leverage to up, sort of as an angle to get the NPC to move in the direction that you want.
Okay.
Right? Like
instilling that in them. What they're gonna lose.
Yeah. Right. Like the bandit. Like, you know what? It's just
poor bandit.
It's just the kids. We've already caught you.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to die. Right? Think about how many years you have in the future. Right? And who are you giving up? Your leader? He doesn't care about you. He's not coming. Right? Think about all the ale that you're not going to be able to drink. Right? Think about all the other people you can rob, but you're not going to be able to rob.
Think about all the breaths of air you're not going to take.
Or think about what do you want to do in life? What's your dream? You'll never be able to do that.
Right.
So just tell us where they are. Right? You highlight the opportunity cost of a certain decision, right? To sort of tighten those vices around, right?
The metaphorical vices.
Right. Well, or
In
not.
addition to the
bandits.
literal
No one cares about
metaphorical.
bandits.
Their bandit wives do.
Oh, do they have wives?
Or bandit husbands.
Or husbands.
They're bandit partners.
Spices?
Spouse.
Multiple spouses? Spice?
Spouses?
Like louse, lice? Spouse, spice? House heist? Roast rice? Anyways. I digress.
Thank you, please.
Still on that one for a while,
Yeah.
guys. So yeah, opportunity cost. The next one is big. Is something called FOMO.
Oh.
Fear of missing out.
Okay.
Okay. And FOMO is basically, again, leveraging the fear of missing out on a favorable outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that can push the other party members to come to an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least move a step closer to some sort of agreement.
Right.
Right? And this works especially if there is a rival or like competitors
Mm-hmm.
in the mix. So if we take, for example, our blue wizard in town. You're like, I have these components. Right? Like, fear of missing out is, I know you got these experiments to run, but I was talking with Red Wizard the other day. And Red Wizard...
That loser.
Well, exactly, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said he needed spell components too, and he was willing to pay extra if I can get it to him soon. So, I don't know. I know you guys were kind of in a race to see who could finish that spell first,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, it's the fear of missing out, right? Or like, I sold something to him yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want these? But they're 10 gold extra.
So is there...
I'm missing out, like, oh no, like someone else has the things that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but I need it. I can't let red beat me.
Interesting. So is this then essentially attaching an emotional component to that, what did you call it? The oppositional cost?
Opportunity cost?
The opportunity cost? Is that what the FOMO would be?
It kind of. It's the fear of missing out on something that someone else has.
Okay.
Right? Like,
so not only just missing it, it's missing out when somebody else gets it.
it's not just a missing opportunity,
Right.
right? The negative cost of not having that, of taking that opportunity because
Right.
of this one. It's specifically someone else has it and I want it too. And I fear that I will be the one who doesn't have it.
Okay.
Right? Or red has it.
No, that's a great differentiation
Yeah.
between what the two are.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's leveraging that social pressure now
Right.
onto NPCs.
Yeah.
Right. And again, the DM could be like, whatever. He doesn't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you've primed him
Mm-hmm.
or her or they, that this is a negotiation, hopefully they can roll with it, especially if it makes sense. And you've done your research. And you've
Correct.
talked to Red Wizard. And
Yes.
you've talked to, right?
Yeah.
And if you do a mixture of all these things or all of them, I mean, it's rough in real life to deal with that,
Mm-hmm.
right? When salespeople come to you and do that to you, right? And as an NPC, when you have, especially in D&D, when it's not just you want to buy this thing that you don't need,
Mm-hmm.
it's in D&D, there's like real consequences in the D&D world. Fake real consequences,
Fake real consequences.
right? For the fake real characters in this fake real world.
For real fake real
Yeah.
emotions.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I want to leave you guys with. Sort of things that you can do in your
Interesting.
negotiations to move it, to nudge it into the direction that you want.
Right. Instead of just going, I rolled a 12.
Exactly.
Does he give us the extra money?
Right. Or if the DM goes, can I use persuasion? And the DM says, what do you say?
Yeah.
You can do this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And
Even if you're just saying like, you're not role playing it out, but you're giving the gist of what you would say.
Mhm.
Hey, remember when we talked to the other wizard? I want to talk to him about how the other wizard's going to pay a
Yeah.
premium for
Yeah.
components right now. And that we might want to sell it to him because we want the money right now too.
And what's nice about it, it changes it from a binary succeed or not succeed skill check to like, I could get a little bit more, maybe,
Mhm.
right? Maybe I won't get 100% of what I want,
Mhm.
but it's better than 0%.
Well, and if
Right.
not to make it like pass fail into multiple rolls of pass fails to feel the flow,
Mhm.
to even have like a graduated system
Mhm.
where it's like, yeah, 13 is worst case scenario, but they agree.
Yeah.
Right. 15. Oh, now they like you a little more. 17, even more. 19, 20, 25, 20. Right. And the better you roll, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
But you always at that point have hit their FOMO or hit that opportunity cost for them that they will accept. It's just what's going to be the outcome of that?
Yeah.
Did you swindle them or did you burn that bridge?
Right. Well, exactly. Right. And when doing these things, I think you would be hard pressed to find a DM who won't give you something for doing these things, for attempting it.
As long as you do the proper kind of legwork.
Well, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to just rolling persuasion.
Yeah. Because if you go up and you just like, oh yeah, we talked to the Red Wizard and you haven't, like you just got to the town and the Wizard knows, he's like, that's deception. Give me a deception roll. Because this isn't negotiation. Now you're bluffing.
Right. Yep.
Right now you're just straight up lying and trying to invent leverage. And that can be seen through.
Oh, Red Wizard, how's she doing? Yeah. Oh, she's doing great. She's a man. Oh. All right. Get out of my tower. You don't get nothing from me.
Meanwhile, they're all polymorphing components.
Or like Red Wizard. I'm Red Wizard.
I'm Red Wizard.
That's my simulacrum guy. He just wears red. So we can tell the difference who's who.
Fresh on the block? I don't think so. Adventurers.
Think you're the first adventurers to try to swindle me?
Whole person.
FOMO.
Yoink.
I don't miss out on nothing.
Cleric, too.
I see everything.
Booyah.
Blue Wizard in the house.
I love that wizard already. and he's cranky too, right? He's just like, suck it. So that kind of, I really like it. I really like what you're talking about. Okay. I do like the idea of walking away to see what would happen there as long as you're prepared for the consequences.
That's your idea. That's why you like it so much.
But no, like analyzing and expressing, hey, this is what you're missing out on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether I'm in the player seat or in the DM seat, I can go, oh, you know enough about the world to say that you're going to miss out on this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
Where did you learn that? Like, who did you talk to get that? What NPC did it? Did you just invent that off the top of your head? Or no, you were talking about, I thought you were just talking about the price of fish with the tavern keeper for no reason. Oh no, there was a reason. Oh, because you figured out by the components what spells he's going to be casting. It's going to be something to do with the ocean front.
Or like there's one component that you just don't have.
Yeah.
I happen to find it already.
Yeah.
In my preparation for this negotiation.
Yes. So no, that's what I mean. It's super interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because there is then a grounding and kind of a putting your character in the world and learning about the world, exploring, right? Figuring out grounding and understanding what the values are for these NPCs.
Yeah.
So
it's just fun.
It is.
I think it is.
It super is.
super fun.
It's a me. So it's like you said, though, there's a chance it could go wrong. Or maybe I said.
Yeah.
We said that there's a chance that you might burn a bridge.
Right.
There's a chance that by pushing, you might push too hard. Or at the end of your carefully thought out negotiation, using all the leverage, somebody also talked about Red Wizard, who's their ex-wife. And that was not cool. And then this might lead you to something that we could call aggressive negotiations. Or as Obi-Wan would say, negotiations with a lightsaber.
Well, I don't know. Aggressive negotiations or negotiations with the like and subscribe button. Aggressively. So do that.
That was good.
Yeah, aggressively negotiate with that like and subscribe button.
Be easy, good to your mouse, hard on that.
Click it once and firmly.
Long time. Like when you're holding the horn down because they're not moving fast enough. Power.
Yeah.
Power move.
Anyways, sorry. I hijacked your point. Aggressive negotiations. Negotiations with a saber.
With a saber.
A lightsaber?
Well, Obi-Wan said negotiations with a lightsaber. But since most D&D is fantasy, unless you're playing Spelljammer.
I thought I said I have the high ground.
He did say that
and I have a saber.
But that was a negotiation tactic, and it didn't really work. It was a win-lose scenario, not a win-win scenario.
Yeah, he won and lost.
Yeah.
His best friend.
So when we're talking about aggressive negotiations, I feel like there's two places that this belongs. Number one is obviously when we're getting into these areas where more is happening and we're finding more division than we are sharing of values and sharing of kind of like a acceptable ground. The second is, as we always say, it's always time for RP. And this is negotiations or persuasions in combat. So much like that scene where Obi-Wan had the high ground,
right?
There was a constant and consistent negotiation between those two characters.
Yes.
Right? And that was happening through the whole fight. The whole fight was made better because there was a dialogue between them where they were trying to figure out what is going on.
Right.
Right?
What is going on, Obi-Wan? I don't know. I want you to tell me what's going on.
Well, you stole her from me, and now you're higher than me. It's an interesting thing to think of. Like, I want to think back because, like I said, a lot of what we talk about is interconnected. So I want to think back to the idea of memorable villains.
Okay.
So when we were talking about memorable villains, things that came out in that conversation was threaten something that the PCs care about.
Oh, yeah.
Make it personal.
Mm-hmm.
And last kind of this thought is the perfect bite, right?
I forgot that one.
So the perfect bite is having that true sense of the villain, right? In that perfect bite-sized container. You don't need to draw it out. I don't need to over-explain it. I don't need whatever. And how better to have that villain prove that they're truly villainous while they're in a fight with your PCs or whatnot. And they're like, you yield to me or your town will burn.
Oh, right.
The negotiation is you give up or I burn everything you care about. Right. There's hard fought things going on here, right? But it is a negotiation.
Opportunity cost,
right? FOMO, I guess.
Fear of missing out.
FOMO s'mores.
There's a town over there that's burning right now.
And then the next one might be yours. But I think that this is a real thing that we can do, and we can enter into a negotiation while we're fighting with those bandits, while we're fighting with that lich, while we're fighting with that dragon, while we're fighting with anything of sufficient intelligence. Because if there is a thought that's running through your head as a player, it's, why don't they run away after we just fireballed like all of them? Right? Like half of their numbers just disappeared in a flicker and a flash.
Yeah.
And you're like, why don't they run away? Do they have like no sense of survival?
Nope.
I mean, nope. a lot of times they don't or are not given that permission by the DMs.
Yeah.
Or, let's be honest, players get a little bloodthirsty and a little, let's clear the board.
Just a little bit.
Conquest style.
Just a little bit. We're primed for XP by kill. That's why.
That's why it was gold spent before previously.
For
XP.
For thieves.
No, they just got double.
Oh, correct.
Yeah. But anyway, that's a different system.
Yeah.
But no, when we're talking about it, there is the ability to have negotiations and have persuasion under the backdrop of a combat. And while normally you go, okay, look, you can say like 6 words, but that's it for your turn.
I hate that rule.
I hate that rule too. I think that combat needs to be a little bit more timey-wimey.
I think it needs to be cinematic.
As long as you're using it effectively. If it's going to be like, oh, hey, there's like 6 guys back here and one's wearing green and one's wearing blue and there's 2 wearing like belts and all their belts have stuff on them. I think one has like, no, shut up.
I think he just ate a donut because his breath smells really sweet.
It's really good. Even from over here, it's really good. I wanted to ask him, but you just shot him with can you get, no. But if you're actually engaging in role play and actually engaging specifically with a notable encounter, right? I think you should be encouraged to experience the story and experience what's going on, right? Specifically, if shout out to, memorable fights and encounters, it's not about wiping out the other side of the board. Right? If the goal is not to just murder, death, and kill, then there should be a conversation happening. There should be an ebb and flow, not only to the physical combat, but to that layer above.
Right. Yep.
And so, you're kind of amenable to this. And I think it's a really good way of doing that and continuing to maintain that stability and that continuity of what's going on. That, yes, the villain is going to taunt and jeer and players are going to make sarcastic comebacks and blah, blah, blah. This is all part of it, but there should be more to it. If we can make more productive things out of this. So what do I mean when I say more productive? I think.
What do you mean when you
What
say
do I
more
mean?
productive?
Well, jumping back to my boy, Mr. Voss, one of the things that is really kind of interesting when we're talking about negotiations and when we're talking about persuading is not necessarily feeling their pain, but labeling it. And by labeling it, going, okay.
So sorry, I just thought about aggressive negotiations in battle, and you stab them like that hurts.
That hurts, right? Right. Twist.
Bam! That's a Charlie horse.
But
It's a noogie. I'm labeling it, guys.
well, that's.
Sorry.
That train is gone. No, it's back. Okay. So when we're labeling it, you can say, the paladin who wants to redeem the BBG, right? You don't have to burn them. The anger you feel is from the loss.
Right.
More loss will not correct that hole in your heart, right? I don't need to empathize with you. I think you're a crazy madman.
Right.
But by saying, look, I know what it is that's going on.
I know where you're coming from.
Then you can begin something that they call mirroring. Right? Which is where you start to show that you care about the things that they care about.
Yep.
Super good.
Yeah.
That was an amazing.
Well,
yeah, amazing
great mirror.
Editor, save him. There's something that they can do, something that the first party can do to show that the second party, that they can have some of the same values. If they believe that there's values shared, then it's easier to persuade them to see your side.
Yep.
Right? If they believe that you know what they're talking about, it's easier. How many times have we had a conversation where you're like, you don't understand what I'm saying? Right?
A lot.
A lot. This then stops. It breaks that communication. But if you believe the other side does see what you're talking about, they don't necessarily have to sympathize with
or
your
agree.
cause or agree.
Yeah.
But if they understand you, that creates a bond.
Interesting. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So we don't have to feel their pain, but if we label it, it becomes important. Because then we know what to mirror, what leverage we can push.
Yes.
Right? And how to push it on them. The other thing that we really need to do in order to mirror that or label it is to use our active listening skills.
Oh.
Right? You need to hear that he wants to cause loss because he lost his wife. And then 3 sessions later, you're fighting him and you're like, this is because of your wife, right? He's like, why would you bring that up? Burn everything. You're like, whoa. This isn't how you ever
your
feel.
this is not what your wife wants for you.
Right. And then he's like, oh.
Yeah, it is though. I have it in writing right here.
It is. In her will and testament, she said, burn it all down. You're like,
should have done more research.
Damn. Damn. The DM's like, suck it. Do a little dance. That's so badass. But it does matter then that you know what it is that you're labeling, what it is that you're mirroring, what it is that you're engaging with when you actively participate in what's going on and you remember what's happening, remember the story.
It's interesting. It's like building a relationship with your negotiating partner there. Like
yes.
During the negotiations. It reminds me of like good cop, bad cop.
Right.
Right. How the good cop is the one who goes to is I'm on your side. And let's talk. I want to understand how you feel. And it's interesting.
A bad cop comes in. He's like, shut up. Don't talk to him. He's an
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they set, but that's anchoring, which I think is interesting as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Where you set extreme examples that the person wants to gravitate towards because then they look at the familiar and the possible instead of the.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Instead of the outlandish.
I think of more of like pricing, but yeah. Okay. Same thing though.
Does that as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And you mentioned it before, or you alluded to it before, but I think for better distinction, there are 4 words of power within negotiation.
Power death. Power.
That's power word kill. But yes. Wow. Okay. Anyway, no, the 4 words of power in negotiation. Set the scope.
Power word kill.
The first 2 come in a very convenient pair. That I would say beware yes and understand the power of no. Okay. So both are really interesting things to uncover when you're negotiating.
Psychologically, it's crazy.
There's weird things that are going on, right? So I would say yes is going to mean a transition to the next part of a scene or a new scene entirely, right? You agree that burning all these villages won't bring back your wife, right? Yes.
Oh, then you can move on to the next
Now we can move on
step.
to the next step because now
Yep.
now my people are safe.
Well, you've established an agreement.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. Now we
Yeah.
move on to the next phase.
Right.
Maybe we're in the same scene, but we're moving to the next phase. Whereas, here's the box. Do you agree that it's worth 50 gold? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
50 gold. There's
See?
your box.
That's
And now we go to
assertive
the tavern.
teamwork. You're working together with the person you're negotiating with to move to agreement.
Oh, you're working with them across.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just ours.
No.
Versus.
Oh,
okay.
You're working with whoever you're negotiating with.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
Yeah. Assertively, because you want
Building
to
rapport. Yeah.
all that stuff.
Now, interestingly,
Mhm.
so yes, I think progresses us forward in phase or in scene. No is a hook. He did it. Every time we got to do it.
Gotta do it.
It's tradition. I think no, how is no a hook?
How is Noah?
How is no? Sounds like a question I'd ask myself. No is going to be a hook because now you've hit a potential boundary. And what that boundary is representing is not necessarily a true no.
Mm.
Do remember that no means no, kids. But when we're talking about no, I won't do that. Well, why won't you?
Mm.
What's happening here that you can't agree to this? Because this seems to be very fair.
Oh, a hook by you mean like a point of exploration, an
Correct.
opportunity to explore,
yes,
understand more.
While yes moves you forward, I think no means you have to go deeper
Mm-hmm.
to understand what's going on. And I've already spilled the beans on the next two words, actually. But speaking of how being making no better, how is a word in of itself that you can change in negotiation.
Okay.
Right? I want to make some extra money on this run.
Mhm.
How could I do that? Is there more stuff I can take? What do you think, Mr. Merchant Master?
Mhm.
How can I make more money? Well, you can make more money if you collected goblin ears on the way there.
Right.
Oh, okay, great. You can make more money if you went on the risky trip through the orc lands instead of the kobold lands.
Right.
Asking how invites the other side, and so use this diligently. How invites the other side to fill in the blank, fill in the reasons to accomplish your goals.
Mm.
Right? I need more bat guano because this wizard needs to fireball.
Right.
How can I get more guano? Right? Talking to the merchants, how can I get more guano? I need it.
Right.
Cool. Well, we could do a bunch of things to get that for you. Okay, great. That's awesome.
Or even like, I need the blue wizard to teleport me to town X. Right.
Mhm.
He says no. It's ask him, how can I get you to say yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It's a no now, but how can I change that to a yes?
Oh, we need to get the MacGuffin out of their fortress. How am I supposed to do that? Oh, well, you should probably talk to the architect because he has plans for the sewers.
Right.
Like that can give you, if you're not sure where the next step is to progress after the negotiation.
Right.
How can be a great way of getting the other side to give you that information while still in the flow.
Right.
And while still uncovering additional information about what's going on. The other and last of the four power words is what?
Powered what?
Powered what? What? There's now what has to be tacked onto things, but what as a question can work really, really well. Not what by itself, but what as part of an open-ended question.
Right.
Can provide a lot of, once again, world building, but also that kind of digging into what their values are, what their goals are, what their desires are. Like if you were to ask, what are your main concerns in this matter?
Right.
Like, why do you want me to go past the Civil War conflict area to go get the MacGuffin thing in the ruined temple of death and unholiness? Like, why? Why do you want this thing?
Right.
What do you hope to achieve from our alliance? Because we're going to pair up and go do this thing, but what do you get out of this?
Right.
I know what we get out of it. What do you get out of it, Mr. NPC or Miss NPC? Or what challenges do you foresee in this particular quest? Right? Oh, well, bandits normally raid all my caravans, which is why I need this extra security.
Right.
Okay, cool. It's just bandits. Right. We don't have to prepare silvered weapons from
Right.
Right. We don't have to prepare.
We don't have to worry about morality with the things that we're going to do to them because they're just bandits.
They're just bandits. But these kind of open-ended questions using what as the question basis core, especially with open-ended questions, can be a really great way of prompting the other side to fill in the blank and kind of give you more information, perhaps than they were intending to give you, or more information that you can then use later, whether you're gathering it for leverage or you're just gathering it for general lore or rumors or what's happening.
That's interesting. That's really interesting, especially because I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna pull back a little bit. You mentioned it briefly. We didn't really talk much about it, but this aggressive negotiation.
What are you talking about, Sean?
In battles.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Is interesting. Because I think it's a really cool idea to think about negotiating in battle, because then you're not just negotiating just with words and like FOMO and all that kind of stuff. You're physically applying pressure on whoever you're fighting.
Correct.
Right? And if you do not come to an agreement, there is only two outcomes. They get killed or you get killed.
Fantasy violence
Yeah.
is leverage, kids.
Yeah, right. And this idea of using these like power words other than kill, because my power word kill is my sword. Right, I keep saying it.
I cast it 4 times around, baby.
Why don't you listen to me? But like as you fight, it's interesting. If you keep negotiating with them as you fight, the closer they get to death, the more leverage you have. So when you ask these questions, like
especially if they're not fanatical or berserk or whatever, right?
Like, what do you think is going to happen if you keep protecting that lich dragon?
Yes.
Like, and
your nigh immortal life will be extinguished.
Right.
And we can see you're getting close.
Right. How do you think this is going to happen?
Yeah.
Right. How do you think you're going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, dragon, how do you want to do this?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to die? Okay. Let's explore that then.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not going to stop fighting.
Right.
Right. Because we can't, because you aren't yet either.
But at this point, it's a great time not to use the friggin' 6 seconds of talk.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Let's do the movie magic. Right? Have a whole conversation while there's a war going around us and none of the bullets hit us. Right?
Plot armor, baby. Just keep talking and no one dies.
Or like one guy's dying and he's like, leave me. In real life, this buddy, like, I won't leave, pow, and he's dead, right?
Done.
But, right? Like, have that movie magic because it's awesome. There's a reason why movies do that.
Yes.
Right?
And talk about a way of like intensifying and ratcheting up the moment.
Yeah. I just imagine the lich on the side, like, don't listen to the fighter.
Yeah.
Don't listen to that guy. Okay, just fight until you die.
He keeps casting power word stab.
That's not a power word, dragon.
Really hurts. Get in there, you flesh and blood wuss.
Aggressive negotiation.
But those are 4 very common words that I think can be gateways into further kind of depth and exploration, specifically when we're negotiating.
I like it.
Look for those key words when they say that. Yes, no, how, what. These are all ways that you then know, like you were talking about, prepare for the scenario ahead of you. When they say this word, I know I have to pounce.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I'm going to do when I get them to that no.
It's so interesting because prep is basically pre-exploration.
Yes.
Whereas asking talking about the no's and the yeses and the how and the what is like with like in negotiation exploration. Right? Because there's more to explore that you can't without talking to that person directly.
Correct.
Right. So you can, again, be active listening, be observant, right?
Well, and
see how they react to certain things, what they say.
And watch what's happening. If there's something, let's say you're fighting the lich and the dragon, but dragon is phase 1 in the encounter plan. The lich is phase 2. Drop initiative if the negotiation has reached a certain thing.
Right.
mock that the dragon is still looking for a strike, but he's holding back and considering what it is that you're saying, because your words are starting to have an impact on it, right? And you kind of go, okay, guys, we're going to drop out of initiative. We're not out of the combat.
Right.
But for this conversation, feel free to kind of give and take freely. Don't worry about initiative rolls right now.
Right.
Right? By the way, we're in initiative 12 and we're going to come right back there if this goes south.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And have that movie magic moment.
So good.
Where everybody, it's not just the person whose turn it is.
Yeah.
Everybody can be like, yeah, I'm totally going to burn you to a crisp unless you yield.
Yeah.
Right? And like, yeah, and I got my god right here. He's smite on speed dial, baby.
You see right there between the clouds.
So
Right
there. Right there.
And see that sun? Yeah, that's my god.
God with his sniper. Right? Like, so there should be that moment if you allow it, right? If you are a player and the DM is not giving this to you, call for a scene.
Oh, it's true. As a player, you can initiate any of this stuff. You have so much power.
Just be like, hey, I know we're in the middle of combat, but I really need to say something to this guy. Like, and
you'd be hard to find a DM who like, to be like, no. Right? Like even the most obtuse DM would feel bad.
What do you mean no, DM? Right? Power word.
Why not?
What's preventing us from having a powerful, impactful scene right now?
Right?
Is it unreasonable?
If we don't, you'll never be able to see this awesome scene that I have planned out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Wicked.
It's super.
Wicked.
It's super. 4 power words. Use them.
Yes. Use them. And then now that you've gotten them to the finish line there.
Oh.
You're right there, right before the finish line. Right? You've done your assertive and aggressive negotiations and you're right there.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Spike the ball.
How do you drink your coffee? Because who is the coffee for?
Coffee is for closers.
That's right. It's for closers. Let's talk about closing.
Always be closing.
Always be closing. A, B, C.
Love it.
Acronyms, just for you.
Aw. Love acronyms.
So at this point, you've agreed to a certain point. You both, negotiator and negotiatee, or you're both negotiators, I guess, have moved to a certain point in your agreements that you think you can sort of finish things off. If one thing you can do, it's a certain technique you can do, if they're not quite there yet, they haven't said yes, but they've almost, like they're going to.
You feel like they want to say,
how do I make them
agree?
Say yes? You don't. What you can do is assume that they said yes.
Ooh.
Assume the close.
Ooh.
Right, like
anti-power word.
Right, you
assume.
Yeah, right. Assuming an agreement and then moving on to discussing the next steps. Right. You can, if you do that, it doesn't work all the time.
No,
but it is possible to sneak that finish line.
60% of the time,
finish
it works
line
every time.
Right, and if they pull back on it, then you can ask again, why and why no.
Right.
You can go back to those steps.
Right, because then they give you a no, and now you have more depth to explore, right, to figure out what's holding them back from the yes. Yeah.
Because if you move on, they'll be like, oh, are we moving on? Yeah, I guess we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
There anyways. Then let's talk about the next steps.
Mm-hmm.
And once you talk about the next steps and you agree on that, it's done. Done deal.
Diggity done.
Right. And once you've got that done deal, what you should do before you're like, all right, handshake? Cool. Or sign the contract. What you want to do is you want to summarize the agreements. Like, what have I agreed to? What have you agreed to?
In character or above table?
In character, which is also above table.
Okay.
You could do both if you're unsure. Above table, what the characters have agreed to, right?
Right.
So basically, you want to ensure that both parties have a clear understanding of what has been decided.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when I agreed to find the children, right? I said, I'll find the children. And you're like, oh, you're going to find the children and bring them back? Oh, wait a minute.
Hold on. I said I would find the children.
Right. There's more to negotiate there.
Yes.
Right. Like,
that's interesting.
Like, double check and confirm specifics. Like, confirm the details, the terms. Like, when you say children, what age exactly do you mean children? Right? Because we're all children. The bandits are children too.
Aw.
Right?
I mean, Violence against kids is wrong.
Right? Unless they're bandits.
Oh.
Wow. Because they're no longer children. They're just bandits.
Oof.
And,
Talk about a promotion.
Right? Because what we're trying to avoid is any misunderstandings after the facts. That you've gone and you've found the children and sold them. Right? Like,
well, especially
wait a minute, I found them. You didn't say you wanted me to bring them back.
Yeah. Especially if the agreement is made in good faith.
Yes.
Or intended to be made in good faith, right?
Yes. Or this is especially important if you're negotiating with someone who may be trying to screw you over.
Yes.
In the contract, in the words, right?
Yes. Fae, demons,
devils especially, right? Merchants.
That one. See,
bandits.
It's true. And the other, I
kings,
did say.
Anyone, really.
It just came to me. The other bewaring the yes is when you're like, okay, we'll go take care of them 5 gold. And the guard captain's like, yeah. I'm like, what did we just leave on the table? How much, like, how high were you willing to go? No, you said 5 gold. I said yes.
I haven't agreed yet, though.
Right. Ooh.
You said yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Beware the yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So just
smart.
But in the end, just do those things to make sure nothing comes and bites you in the ass.
Mm.
Right? Unless that's what you like. Then feel free.
Steak, baby.
So yeah, there you go. Then enjoy your coffee.
Because you just closed your first sale.
That's right.
Aw.
Right?
Yeah.
You got that 10 extra gold from Blue Wizard. Took a while. Took an hour and 8 minutes, but there you go.
An hour and 8 minutes? Not quite. I think we introduced the wizard around minute 20.
Well, there you go.
But yeah.
Still
interesting. That was really short and sweet.
Yeah.
For a nice little bow wrapping around.
I'm not teaching you guys to be salesmen, so I just right?
It's true. It's true. These are like, well, that specifically are very sales oriented techniques.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I have a background in sales and you totally do all of those things. And you move forward and generally people won't refuse unless they have a real objection to it.
Yes.
If they have a real objection, that tells you what to zero in on because that's a pain point.
It's just more information for you to use.
More information. Yeah. Super interesting that you brought in those types of real life skills also that they bring up in that Chris Voss book. Never split the difference.
Yeah.
We should have like an affiliate link.
Is that a thing that we can do?
Maybe. Check in the description. See if we have one.
I don't think we will.
I don't think we will either. But Chris, hey buddy, let us know how we did.
He's gonna hose us. He's got those negotiation stuff down pat.
What do you think you were doing, boys?
You got it all wrong. How about I don't call the cops on you and sue you?
Nope, because we just pushed your book. So, in the immortal words of Sterling Archer, damn it, I wish I had something for this.
Who's Sterling Archer?
From Archer?
I've never really watched that show. All I know is phrasing,
sploosh. Yeah, classics.
Yeah.
Classics all.
I know you love that show.
I do, because it's funny. There is a lot that we just talked about. But I feel like what we did is we just produced a bunch of ideas that you can think about that we normally do. What I wanted to do, I think, for the end here is actually create a bit of a system that you can use. And this will be linked down in the description.
What?
We're going to make a little system for you to understand a little bit more of the breakdown of negotiation.
Print it out and like take it out in front of your DM and be like, okay.
I'm ready for you. I think when we talk about this, all of this stuff can be brought into, like I said, a system that further clarifies beyond just one role and see how you do. So what I would want to call this is kind of like a more of a progressive persuasion and negotiation system.
It's like, is this homebrew stuff kind of for your D&D tip? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Homebrew system.
And something that I think I'll be implementing in my game so that there's more interest to it, especially for my charisma, bards. So they can't just like stomp me in one roll.
Prepare yourself, right?
Yes.
Right, minimum 26. BS.
Disgusting. So
You should be ashamed.
because we're doing teamwork here, I think that we need to start the system, and I'm not going to go into it. It'll be in the document there for you to read. But I think at the beginning of this, we need to, as we talked about, understand the intentions. So you've done your research, you've done your homework. This initial stage of the negotiation process happens before the negotiation does.
Mhm.
This is where you're going to take a moment, like give the players a minute or two or whatnot, to set themselves up to like unify their intent as players. You go above the table and be like, okay, guys, you're about to go into this negotiation. Do you guys know what you're talking about?
What?
Right? So that they can be like, we're going to talk about the purple grass, right? And you're like, no, that was the last guy. What we're here to do is to make the money off the lich. And you're like, oh, there's a lich?
Yeah, he wears blue.
It was blue, sometimes red. It's really confusing. There's a moment where they can go, okay, guys, this is what we're here to do. This is what we're here to find, because we found this lore over here and we read about this and we talked to this tavern keeper and blah, 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 blah. This is why we're here, right? And use this as a moment that you can translate from player talk to in-character talk, but just to like do away with kind of some of the flowery language so that everybody is on the same page and they really understand what they're doing so that they can give their full attention towards the negotiation. I think sometimes, and feel free if you're a player, to not necessarily tip your whole hand for everybody, but we're here to get more money. Also, I know that this guy sells jewels and I need jewels for something, but what we're here for is more compensation. So I can say that to everybody. Specifically, I know that they've got jewels or they've got a specific jewel or they've got something that we want, right? Whatever that is, at least having that outline to the other players. Oh, we're here for more money. Cool. Great. Now we know what's going on. We can share the information. We can go in with a singular intent.
Okay.
And I think that's going to benefit that everybody's on the same page. Additionally, DMs, use your active listening while the players are talking freely about what their wants and desires are. Spying in plain sight.
Right.
Because then you know how to prepare what the conversation is going to be about. You're going to know that they're going to be talking to the blue wizard about more money and they're going to be using the red wizard as leverage. So you can have a clearer picture in your mind about the relationship between blue and red. Right. So you can prepare in that moment. You only get a minute, but that can be a super valuable minute that you're there. Add this stuff in. Okay, great. I knew because I prepped this, or maybe I didn't prep this, but now they're giving me a breath of fresh air while they figure their stuff out. Okay, great. This is not a moment for analysis paralysis. This is just like, okay, guys, this is what we're doing as we go in here. Okay, are we good? Yes, team break. Awesome. Let's go. Right. And that brings us into the negotiation stages.
Okay.
And at each of these stages, I think there should be at least one roll.
Okay.
Now, in addition to what they just talked about in their prep and defining their intent, that's where I think you should probably have a great idea of where you're setting the initial DC for kind of this persuasion attempt.
Okay.
Right? How much they like the party coming in, what service the party has done, how well they did it, how poorly they did it, all of these things. And what it is that they're truly going to be asking for and how far they're going to push with that already kind of expressed that they're like, oh, we can't do this for less than 100 gold. Right? Okay, cool. We all agree we got to push for 100 gold? Okay, great. Yeah. Now I can know, okay, they're not asking for the moon.
Right.
Maybe they're asking for double the payment because of the reason that they said, you know what, this is possible. I don't have to be super hard-assed about this. Right. And we can make this a more fun interaction and not like a hard bargain.
And you don't have to be adversarial about it.
Correct. Because you know how far they're going to go. Right. There's clear communication happening. So when we do go in there, phase one of the negotiation, I think I would call it empathy and rapport, like we were talking about. You need to kind of, hey, how's it going today, Blue? How you doing? Yeah, we got your stuff. Yeah, no problem. Super nice outside. Yeah. You hate mice, right? Cool, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, we talked to your daughter. She's doing good. Yeah, right.
So you're in this
friend of ours.
In this stage, you're building that initial conversation before you get to the actual proper negotiation, but you're establishing that active teamwork or that assertive teamwork, right? We're going to try and figure this out. How you doing? We're doing great. Let's go. right? This is where you're going to start using the techniques, the mirroring, the labeling, the active listening.
Mhm.
This is where you should push the idea of more insight checks and whatnot for them to like see how things are going, see how things are landing before we actually start talking hard numbers.
Right.
This doesn't have to be long. It can be if the players want to chat a bunch.
Yeah.
But I think if they're doing good work and they're having a good conversation and they are bonding, that's going to lower or at least modify the initial DC.
That's interesting. It's like warming up the target.
Correct. Right? Like it's not a heist necessarily, but it is, like I said, more of a, not a drawn out process, but more of a segmented process with some highs and lows, right? And it's not hidden behind one rule. The next part, after you've built up that empathy and rapport, you need to jump into the offer and the initial counter offer. Hey, we want this. I can only do half of that. This isn't finalizing, like you said. This isn't doing, but now that we've adjusted what the relationship is between these parties, now we can actually talk about what it is that we're here. This is where they're going to engage with their persuasive arguments, their leverage, their FOMO, right? The creative solutions, all the stuff that they've learned. This is where they're putting that into the offer. And this is where the first proposition is made. Either party can initiate this. Right? That should also have a role. How do they receive that initial role? Right? Is that going to modify the later DCs? It might, especially if they super highball or super lowball or whatever, right? That's going to change how people, yeah, baby.
1-on-1. There you go.
Back in the game.
I was yawning.
Oh, because I'm taking too long. Okay, faster.
Tired of this shit.
After you've made your initial offers, we get to the compromising and the alignment of the two parties. Not the alignment, good, evil, blah, blah, blah. The compromising and the alignment of the two kind of wants to try and find that win-win scenario, right? Where you don't get overcharged, but you still get good goods.
Yeah.
Yada, yada. This is going to be really important because this is going to be where probably your predominant and your most important skill checks or those creative uses of things are going to happen because people know what's going on and now you're just trying to find common purpose because that's the goal, right? In this encounter is to find both sides coming together. This also means that there's not a lot of back and forth. Offer, counteroffer, offer, counteroffer, offer, counteroffer, offer, counteroffer.
Yeah.
No, we do want to get on with the game.
Right.
Yep. So offer, counteroffer, find the compromise because we don't want to keep going back. 7 gold, 8 gold, 7 gold.
Well, hopefully by this time you understand what the person wants.
Yes.
And they understand what you want. Yes. And you're like, it's somewhere around in this ballpark.
So you know what to sweeten the pot with and you know what to ask for to sweeten the pot with on the other side, right? So that you both have a fair outcome.
Yeah.
Right? Then you come to that final agreement.
Right.
Now the final agreement doesn't necessarily need a roll.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Right? I think perhaps if you do something exceptionally good.
Right.
Or this negotiation goes exceptionally well, great, do a roll. Just see how they kind of feel coming out of it. The reverse is true. If it's a terrible thing where they just got raked over the coals and they hate this, they hate every part of this, also do a roll. Because what we need to do is come back to this at different stages. So we have our immediate reaction to what's going on, where what is happening, we are solving this problem, we are dealing with it. Great. This is the immediate reaction. We know what's going to happen. As a DM, then, we also need to make a flag or a note for ourselves that we have to come back at certain points. See what the ripples are that you've created in this decision to see how it affects the rest of the world.
Right.
And so we go from the immediate response, that first drip, to the unfolding ripples. Now, this can be, if it's a very large decision or impact negotiation, whatever it is, right? Find that those ripples have actually made some proper changes. Maybe all they've done is gone, none of the merchants here want to work with you because we know that there's been 3 times that you go out, you come back and you charge us double. Right. And you've got the stuff and it's right there and you basically have us between a rock and a hard place. You know what? I'm just not going to hire you.
Right.
I'd rather go without than without food. So sorry, PCs. I don't want to deal with you.
Yeah.
Right. Conversely, you guys always do exactly what you say. You always come back. You always follow through on what it is that we agree to, even if it's like malicious compliance.
Right.
This is what I knew what I was getting into.
Yes.
You knew what you were doing.
I should have check the
I
details
should
and
have
the terms. a little
knew what I
better.
was talking about more, but you know what? Now I know better. But at least I know that you guys do what you say you will do.
Yeah.
I can trust you. Trust betrayal circle.
Mm,
I can trust you to do what you say that you're going to do. And at least your reputation can go up
right.
from this point, whatever it is, right? And then those far-reaching echoes. Maybe you did make a deal with that dragon. And that dragon was like, peace out, bye, lich. Right? What happens? What happens now with that idea? Did you just gain a dragon, not follower, but maybe sidekick, maybe major NPC? Maybe you're like, we're going to spare your life now, but you're going to come and do us a favor later.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, cool, I'm out. Right? Like whatever that negotiation was, what are the far-reaching echoes of that initial drop, of that initial agreement? These are 3 stages. Just to simplify it, there can be more if you want, but 3 stages to remind the DM to go, this was an important moment. How did it change the world? How did that change the world?
Interesting.
Right? And if you've got a whole bunch of these going on wherever the PCs go, wherever the organizations, wherever the other kind of BBEGs are doing stuff, this creates those kind of cross moments that can show you where your quest hubs should take you. That just show you which NPCs are being affected, who needs help, who's doing really well, and all these kinds of things.
I feel like you can take your negotiation stages and just drop it into Salesforce. And it works great.
Kind of. What was the acronym that we used? Probe. I think was the acronym that we used.
That's aggressive.
But not that kind of probing. But I think that those are like, what is it? 4? Yeah, 4 stages, 5 kind of that, but 4 stages that really separate out what is happening. And in each of those ones, you're looking for those 4 power words. You're looking to express that leverage. You're looking to reactivate what the meaning and what the values of the characters are and what they are assertively teamworking with to gain interest, knowledge, lore, and a bit of cash or whatever it is, right?
Cash money.
But breaking it out instead of, okay, Bard, roll the persuasion. Yep, you win.
Right? You win every time.
Okay, cool. Right? But if it's like, hey, the Bard can't do everything.
Right.
Right?
Or like the Bard's not here. Can I still negotiate?
Yes.
How do I do that?
How do I do that?
Like I've got an 8 charisma, but I've got 18 intelligence. There's got to be something I can do.
I need to be able to know what this guy likes in order to influence him. Can I do an intelligence-based persuasion?
Yeah.
Because I logically know how to solve his problem.
Right.
That should absolutely be a thing.
Right. His kid hates him, avoiding him. He wants to talk to his kid. I'm friends with the kid. I can pass along a message. Right. I can try to put in a good word for you.
The kid slammed the door so hard last night in the argument that it won't open. It's jammed.
Right.
Strength persuasion to open that door. Ta-da! I solved a problem.
But in that case, like I don't need you to like me, my charisma. I have something that you need and I know it.
Yes.
So I can leverage that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, like I said before, let us know what you think would be really cool or really unique skill to stat-based types of persuasion.
Wisdom would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Right? Maybe, you're lost. You're a
Confucius says.
Man who stands on toilet is high on pot. What's a toilet?
Well, that's a good point. Here's 5 gold off. Take your dagger.
Yes. I can't use edge weapons. Yeah, no. So anyway,
says.
This kind of system will have a better write-up, more kind of in depth for you to check out in the description. Let us know what you think about this. I think giving out more systems and stuff. Yeah, I'm more of the system kind of guy, but I think that there's some actual value that you can then take to your table and break it down and have more fun. Move your PCs more, not necessarily more slowly, but more engaging interaction rather than everybody looks at the charisma character and be like, you do it.
Right. Well, then you feel like you actually accomplished something. Whereas the Bard winning their persuasion check or deception check, it doesn't feel like you've accomplished anything because you always win those.
Right.
And if you don't, it's because the number is ridiculous.
Yes. And this still allows the Bard or the charisma character to quote unquote shoot the monk, right? You can still get great rolls off of them. But if you're like, hey, this like compromise and alignment section, this is actually a group skill check. I need at least 3 passes out of the 5 of you at the DC in order to convince this person to agree with
So you better lower that DCs.
So you better do your work ahead of time to bring that DC down.
Yeah.
Right? And of course, advantage and disadvantage, apply those things based on what's going on. Maybe you found out that wizard hates, blue wizard hates red wizard.
Mm-hmm.
But even the mention of red wizard turns them into a rage, right? As soon as somebody's like, well, you don't want to be red wizard, negotiation's over, right? You now have disadvantage. They are enraged that you would even bring them up in their presence. And the players knew that.
Right.
Right?
Or I could toss this in for you. You know who would hate it?
Mm-hmm.
Red wizard would hate it if you
Somebody
had this.
that shall not be named
Would hate it if you had this.
Yeah. Right? Oh, interesting. Now you're turning that perfect advantage, right? So we'll have a write-up of this. We'll make this document all nice and pretty. We'll have a write-up in there so you don't have to worry about it. You can just download, print, and enjoy. But yeah.
Wonderful.
I think...
that's good. It's a lot, as usual.
As usual, there's a lot of ideas here. You know, we barely scratched the top of this particular topic. But I think this is a really good introductory kind of, maybe not introductory, but this is a really great exploration of the idea of negotiation and persuasion. Right? What to do before you roll the die, right? Where to go before you even consider doing that. Still feel free, of course, to go that way, or if your table goes that way. But like I said, you can adjust the DC with just a few sentences of you showing the DM that you're paying attention.
So you might as well try.
You've got nothing to lose. Yeah.
Just like watching this show. You have nothing to lose except your dignity.
And we don't watch. We lost our dignity
a long time ago. But thank you for watching.
Yeah, appreciate it.
It was fun. I really enjoyed this exploration into negotiation, actually. You brought some interesting points.
You did, too.
Aw, I know. But if you guys enjoyed it, again, watch us more. But, watch us every other week. Or every week. Every week. That's
a no negotiation.
Right.
There.
And if you do so, we will see you next week. All right. This has been Caffeine and Cantrips.
I was Byron.
And I'm Sean.
And we'll see you next time.
Or else.
I was going to go for it, and then you were like, fake. I'm a DK Falcon. Or else. Oh. Woo. Hot.